We're starting. We are live.
All right, good evening. This is the January 30th B Policy Committee meeting. Tonight we've got 4 policies we'll go over. We'll do a quick roll call and then get started. Mr. Salomon.
Yeah. Ed Salomon, School Board.
Ted Tate, School.
Mary McKee, School Board.
Andy Sanko, Superintendent.
Joanne Summer, Solicitor.
Matt Frederickson, IT Director.
Al Funk, Director of Secondary Education.
Jutta Pali, School Board.
Bob Hickey, School Board.
Michael Roosevelt, School Board.
I'm Mike Thornwood from the school board. With that, like I said, we have 4 policies. Most of them are there's 4. Most of them are minor in terms of changes from the last time. With that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Frederickson, who can walk through these with our solicitor.
So policy 210 and policy 210.1, minor changes basically referring for disciplinary measures. They'd be referred to policy 227.
Okay, so we're just using those as redirects to policy.
Yes, sir. And I can show you if you're interested.
Yeah, show just to the public.
Failure to comply with requirements in this policy may result in discipline under policy 227, including but not limited to expulsion from school.
All right, so this is just tightening them all up. Any questions? Like I said, these are, and 210.1 is the same way, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thanks.
So why did we add this?
Just
I mean,
We added them because under policy 227, we have a look-alike, the look-alike policy or over-the-counter drugs. And we didn't have any connection between possession of an over-the-counter medication that had been registered under 210 being a violation. So policy 227 said that all over-the-counter medications in the possessions of students were prohibited. Policy 210 allowed for you to possess them if you registered them with the school nurse. So what we did was we made certain that policy 227 said that you wouldn't be punished under this policy if they were properly registered under 210. So then 210 required a small amendment to say that if you don't register, you're in violation of 220. It's more of a notice so that people are notified what the ramifications of not registering the over-the-counter medications with the nurses are.
So if you register them with the nurse, then you're allowed to have it?
Yes, if they're properly registered with the prescriptions and things of that nature, yeah.
Some of our students need to take medications on a regular basis, so this makes a lot of sense. And this is a good way.
And so just from a practical perspective, I mean, we have the policy, but it's up to the discretion of the superintendent or the administration to modify the penalty, right, depending on the situation. Okay.
Any other questions?
Yeah, this will be added to the student policy handbook that goes out.
Yeah, so well, I guess all 4 of these policies in terms of timing, we typically update our student handbooks for the following academic year in May, maybe early June. So that would be, if we're going to implement some changes, that would be ideal if we could have it before then.
Loud and proud of these things because this is going to be new for kids transitioning into high school and new for the kids that are already there.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, failure on some of these things are parents don't know, the kids don't know, and I hate to see a kid being brought down and just didn't know for whatever reason. So,
Yeah, no, that's a good point. And I mean, we do take the time the first couple of days of school in terms of student orientation to make sure we can't go through every facet of the student handbook. It's a little voluminous, but we make sure we highlight these type of policies and certainly any changes that take place to the policies.
So, Dr. Thorne, I'll put these on the agenda for the board meeting.
These 2? I don't see, I mean, regardless of what happens at 227, you can sort of, I don't see any problem.
February 19th board meeting.
February 9th, not the first.
All right.
So the other two policies are to 18.1. So what I have here is not the policy as on the board docs. These are the last minute changes that Joanne made for us. And what I did was I brought them into Word, and I have the markup so that you can see what was modified.
And we'll get those out to the public this evening.
Yeah, absolutely, after the meeting.
Yep.
Does this help, Mr. Solomon?
Probably, but since I'm here already, thank you.
That's, Joanne, that's pretty much the sum and total of your changes right there.
Yes. Yes. Although the only other change that I just would like to point out is the purpose of these school board policies is to provide the administration and the public with information about what the sense of the board is in terms of the, to give them notice. So it's also designed to give the board some administrative discretion. So in this policy in particular, there were sentences that said, for example, a first offense would result in some sort of suspension. But if it's a nibbled, Pop-Tart supposed to look like a weapon, I think that the administration needs a discretion to say it may, depending on the circumstances. So the administration could say, well, this is a Pop-Tart that was nibbled to look like a weapon. But, I mean, if you're standing, in a hallway and you see something that has the shape of a weapon, you can see what the possible impact on those who saw it was. So maybe it was nothing. It was the kids were looking at it at lunchtime and, like, breaking it into pieces. That's one thing. So I gave discretion to the administration. They may do something. It's not a shall or a must. It's a may.
Questions on this one?
No, I agree with that approach.
It becomes, do you trust your administration or not? So we're trying to give you the tools you need.
Joanne, may I ask, are you seeing this trend? Is this around the district, because you folks have a lot of...
Well, I looked at the policies of 4 neighboring school districts to compare these 218, 218.1, 227, to see how we all compared. And generally, although the wording may be a little bit different, the policies are pretty much the same. Many of them have exactly the same language as ours. And yes, I mean, we're seeing more and more a stricter interpretation of things. The projectiles, I think that was you who brought it to me, Mr. Roosevelt. I mean, I had not really thought about that, and so I added those kinds of things to the policy. But yes, we're seeing more and more. Obviously, we're much more sensitive to things that are happening and possible danger, even things that we may not have thought were dangerous in the past.
So can I just add, I mean, again, going back to your book of business that you folks have, if you're seeing something that's affecting another district, I think whether we get out, I always like to get out in front of things, and a lot of what we're talking about tonight is because we've had some situations. But I would ask that if you folks are seeing it somewhere else, let's bring it right to this board.
Absolutely.
And jump on it before it gets too late, or we need it, we don't have it available to us.
Well, I will say that this board is pretty much out in front of many things, or most things, I would say.
Mr. Cox has in the past brought to our attention,
Yeah.
he's sent me probably at least 2 or 3 times a year, he'll send me a revised policy that he says we should look at, so.
Good.
More questions?
Good back there, Mr. Salmon?
Yes, sir, thank you. It's great, Matt, it's wonderful.
These are all, would you say these are minor changes that you put in here?
Yeah, there were very minor changes.
Here's an example of the may look-alike, so.
And if you'll see on the definitions on the first page, I added the language that talks about those policies, prescription, non-prescription, over-the-counter medications, except those for which permission for use has been granted under 210. That's where that went in.
Matt, I believe that was it in there. Is there more?
Just, as I said, she changed words, shall to may.
Will, yeah, to May. Yeah.
Or look like, may result, and they, in addition, may be notified. Basically what she said.
Questions from the board?
Is there a policy for things like supplements? I mean, some of the supplements are pretty potent, but I think this is just like medication, like an over-the-counter.
Well, that's an over-the-counter medication, so that's going to come under, if they want to take a supplement in school, they're going to have to register it under 210, and if not, it's going to be a look-alike or an over-the-counter
So that
medication.
includes supplements?
Yes.
They have to register with the nurse?
Yeah.
More questions?
Yeah, I will point out, I like the sentence that reads, upon return, the student will be placed on probation. This is after the sentence, may result in up to 10-day suspension. Upon return, the student will be placed on probation and be required to complete any program mandated by the administration. I like that because it gives the administration the authority to impose whatever they think is appropriate for the student.
It's really quiet. More?
Good.
I feel bad dragging everybody out here.
Well, you've done a great job of, you and Mr. Frederickson and the administration has done a great job of providing us this. We've talked about it a couple of times. We've had it in advance. We've been able to see some of these iterations and revisions. We've had a dialogue back and forth. So I'm pretty comfortable. I'm happy with the result.
I will only ask that we put them up on the website in whatever final form. Take the markups off.
I'll take Joanne's markups, add them to the drafts, get them all cleaned up, and then they will be posted to the website.
And then just from an administrative, do we want to do a first read and then come back the next month and vote them in? You want to call tonight? We have discretion. How we
Yeah, I mean, that was going to be my next question. The old process used to be first read, second read.
I'm inclined, since these are significant, we have time
We
to do a first
That's-
read in February.
Yeah.
And then
Why not?
vote them in March. or-
That way, if people object, they can express their objection.
And we can call another meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. I just wanted, there's no reason, 210 and 210.1 I'd like to just do. There was nothing in there.
Right.
So
That's right.
We'll vote those in for you on the 19th, but we'll do, and as part of that section, we'll do just the first read of these.
Yeah.
What is the process of the first one?
The first read is we say we're going to vote on these at the next meeting, and that's it. It's
So
just-
it informs, yeah.
it informs the public that we're moving with these. So, it's just at a much more televised and more.
Do we solicit the public's input?
No, they can solicit, they can.
Lord knows if they have input, they'll give it to us, but yeah, I mean, but it's not solicited, these aren't up for a vote, these are ours.
So at the next board meeting, someone could make public comment on these policies
Yes.
before they get voted on.
But not really voted on anyway. but
Yeah, and the subsequent meeting
And the
too.
that's
why
why,
there's
sure,
two of them.
sure,
Yeah.
yeah, that's why there's a first and second read, sure, yeah.
Yeah, we used to do that for every policy change in the past, but that didn't always seem necessary.
We don't do it for minor things, a lot of, because we've been through these policies, so a lot of it is adding a section, circling to there's nothing substantive in terms of change, so we just, and it's at our discretion. We could theoretically vote on these next meeting, but we have time. It's not going to impact these folks, so.
I would just like to comment that I really did find it helpful that there was input from the board members about concerns that they had or questions they had about the policies, because it gave me an opportunity to think about them and see how they were really going to, in the scheme of things. And it also gave me the opportunity to talk, we had a discussion with the administration so that I could get their viewpoint on how they're going to administer the policy. So that was really helpful, and I really did appreciate that.
And it's nice from a lot of stuff you have to research, so asking you a question live on TV, it's not, that's why I directed all, if you've got concerns, send them to Joanne, not me, and, and then we can address them, as a group. So hopefully everybody's questions got addressed.
I think I did.
Yeah. So, any other comments? Oh, no, I forgot about public comment. Just making sure, no public comment?
I mean, we have one more policy to review, right?
No, is there one more?
Yeah.
No, that was it.
That was it.
No, we did
218,
two.
227.
210, 210, 1, 218, 1.
227.
We did 227, this was 227.
We just did that one. Yes, ma'am.
You want to just click on it again to show everybody?
Yeah, scroll to the top.
Yeah.
Yeah. 227. And like I said, we'll do a first read because the minor changes you made have not been out for the public to see. So
They did not make it into the draft.
they did not make it into the draft board box. So we'll get those out and we'll get them in the actual agenda, even though we won't talk about them at the next meeting. We'll just first read them at the February 19th meeting, just to call attention they're coming. So, make sense?
Yep.